I'm the daughter of a nurse and an architect, both of whom are immigrants, both of whom came to this country when they were very young, without speaking a word of English. And what they felt back in the 60s and 70s when I grew up was that it wasn't necessary to look back at where the family came from, that everything in America was about promise and about the future. What I do now is really about recovering the past, recovering the richness of what I and other Asian Americans and other people of color come from, encouraging people, young people, as well as professionals in the workplace, that they can bring all of themselves to the work that they do.
Phoebe was the opening speaker at the National Association of Independent Schools People of Color Conference in 2000, in December, in San Diego. I went to represent our school along with our middle school counselor. The People of Color Conference is intended to support and empower people of color in independent schools.
I think that the first step that people often take is, how do we get a representative group of diverse people within our workplaces or within our schools? And oftentimes that's why the admissions office or the recruiting office or the hiring office or the human resources office is charged with the diversity responsibility. But what I found, now that diversity practices are now 20 years old, is that if they remain as just kind of an add-on, it proves very limited in terms of its results. Unless you create a culture that is both welcoming as well as acknowledging in a very deep way that diverse cultures actually give you competitive advantage, or that give you a richness of life experience where everybody that enters into your institution benefits. At different levels, there are different types of people and different types of skill sets that are needed. Once you're a manager, once you're a leadership, you absolutely need a skill set of what I call cultural fluency. And that means the ability to understand and be understood across borders of any kind, cultural borders. And that doesn't necessarily mean only racial borders. It can mean faith borders and religious borders. It can mean generational borders. It can mean anywhere where culture might run some static through a communication or a conversation. If you believe that education is the great equalizer, then in educational institutions, how are we going to grant a limited number of places to a limited number of very, very worthy candidates, knowing that all the candidates are worthy in some way? Oftentimes, I think what happens is that scarcity runs, the idea of scarcity runs a lot of the conversations, or a lot of the ways that we think about affirmative action. There's just so much to go around. There are just so many places. There are just so many opportunities, and it's either you or me that's going to get it. So if we continue to think in that way, I think we'll continue to be trapped in conversations that will lead nowhere.
The course is new. It's an elective for seniors in our history department. It's called Overcoming Discrimination. So it's a term course. The course came out of the strategic plan of our Board of Trustees from 2008. And two of the big initiatives of that were increasing diversity in our student body and our faculty and staff, and having a more inclusive curriculum, as well as having a curriculum that focuses more on global issues. So we started out at the beginning of the course with an exploration of identity for our students. Then we moved into gender, to talk about gender and sexism. Our next module will move into the dissection of race and racism. And with the initiatives from the strategic plan in terms of diversity and inclusivity and globalism, Phoebe was a perfect person to bring in to kind of meld all those ideas together.